Hey YouTube, overexposed Jared here. Today, I have a question for you. Have you ever been, let's say, in a video call with your friend, and you've wanted to share some audio on your computer with that person? So let's say you have music, you want to have maybe two people listening to the same music, and you don't necessarily want to, try to use other means. Right? And that can be complicated. So instead, what if you could just share the audio on your computer right through any software? Your Skype call, your Discord, anywhere where you can share your voice, you can also share your computer's audio. Well, I'm going to show you how you can do that today, live, on YouTube. It's not live. So let's get started. Alright, so here we are on the desktop. And first you're going to need two pieces of software. This VB cable driver and VoiceMeeter Potato. So both of the links you can find for those are on the video description. So when you pull it up, first you'll need to install VB cable virtual auto device. And we'll explain what this exactly does in a little bit. So we'll go to download, get the zip file, and place it. We'll see you'll be able to get to later. Next, you need to go to VoiceMeeter Potato, and whoa, this looks a little complicated. I assure you, I'm going to guide you through everything. But there is an easier version of the software, just VoiceMeeter. But the reason why we are using the most advanced Potato software is because, let's say in the future, you're a little bored, or maybe you're not bored, but you want to do more. Well, with this little piece of software like this, you can easily expand on what we're going to work on today. So you can, do whatever you want. Okay, and you'll just go down and get the exe installer. Okay? So once you have both of those files, put them somewhere nice. We will first install the VB cable driver. So take that zip file of yours, and we're just going to extract it right to the desktop. Okay. So we're going to open it up. And you'll notice we have two setup files. Do you choose this one, or do you choose this one? Well, the first question I have to ask you is, what type of computer are you using? 32-bit or 64-bit? If you're not 100% sure, there's a very easy way to find out. Go to your Windows search and find system information. Okay, so right under system type you'll see either 64 or 32-bit. So in this case we have 64, so we'll be using the 64-bit installer. Right click and run as administrator. Alright, so now we have the installer. Very simple. In this case I already have it installed, but you'll just go ahead and click the install button. It might prompt you to approve something first. Please allow it or it will not work. And after you're done with that, go ahead and reboot and come back. Alright, we're back to the desktop again, and we'll need to install VoiceMeeter Potato. So go ahead, open it up, and we'll have a very similar looking installer. Go ahead and just press install. I've already installed it, like I said, so I won't do it. But otherwise, you'll do that, and you'll reboot. Okay, we're back. Thank you for rebooting a second time. Make sure you reboot in between the installations. You might get some weird things. So, once you're back in the desktop, go ahead. We need to first, before we even start opening VoiceMeeter Potato, we need to clarify a few things. What are your speakers? It's a simple question, but we got to make sure that we get that sorted out first. So, in order to get to your sound settings and figure that out, you're going to go to your settings app, go to system, sound, and scroll down to sound control panel. Now, as you can see, there's already stuff in here. Now that you've installed VB cable and VoiceMeeter, you should also see a bunch of extra junk at the bottom. But it's not junk. It's really powerful tools. So, the speaker I am using is just called speakers, and it's the driver connects in HD audio. Okay. And you might also want to know where your microphone is, right here. In this case, it uses the same driver. It's a laptop, so it's got like a combo thing going on there. But make sure you find the right device and keep it in mind, because that is very important for later. Alright, so now open up VoiceMeeter Potato, and you're just gonna get a bunch of stuff here. Whoa, don't freak out, okay? It looks complicated, and you'd be right, but stick with me here. It's not totally the end of the world. So the first thing we need to do is configure where our sound is going to end up. In this case, we want to end up on the speakers, the computer speakers. So up here at the top right, you'll see A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. The main output device you'll be using is A number 1. So you'll have a list of devices to choose from. In this case, remember we use speakers, connects in HD audio. Now, you have both the options for WDM or MME. Try WDM first. If it doesn't work, use MME. But whatever you use, make sure you use the same one throughout all of the options today. When you select your microphone, all the other stuff, make sure you match, otherwise you might get some weird things. Okay, so you selected your speaker. You can see it says hardware out, and it says my speaker. Now before we can continue, we need to make sure that the sound isn't going through the speakers. Hang on. It can't go through the speakers because we need to go through the VoiceMeeter Potato software. And then this will output to the speakers. But if everything is directly output to the speakers, then nothing, this whole magic, it won't happen. It just won't happen. So we need to set this VoiceMeeter as the default audio device. So get back to that, remember that menu we got back to earlier with playback devices? We need to go back here. So come back, and you'll choose VoiceMeeter Input. Set this as your default device. Hey guys, it's me from the future in about 10 minutes. I realized I missed something and I need to real quick address that. So if your sound isn't coming through your speakers for whatever reason, you might have your speakers turned down. So just go back to your sound settings here, go to Speakers, Properties, or like I said, if you're using headphones, choose headphones or whatever. And make sure this is set to 100. This will not max out your speakers because remember, your actual volume control is using arrow keys controlling this A1 fader, okay? So this is where you're controlling your audio, but you need to make sure your speakers are all the way up, or you might not be able to get anything. And so I make sure you do that if you're having any troubles. That might be an extra tip. Now we're ready to go. Now, everything that we do here will be patched correctly. So, think about it. The first thing we need to do is set up a microphone, right? If we want to at least talk to that person, we need to talk. So under here, this is our first channel, let's call it. And you'll choose your device under here. It'll usually say select input device if you haven't already done it. But you'll choose your device, and I remember it was microphone connects in HD audio. So pick that, and you already know it's working because every time I talk, this little meter is moving. So that should be an indication that something's right here. Okay, so after you've done that, the next thing you need to do is set your hardware input number 2. So that this is going to be your cable output. So choose cable output. Remember that VB audio virtual nonsense that we installed? Well, it's no longer nonsense because we're now about to use it. So make sure you choose that. And I've cranked it all the way up. You don't necessarily have to do this. It's up to you. After that, That looks pretty good as far as adding our devices go. The next thing we need to do is route everything. So the microphone needs to be routed to our call, our voice call, whatever we're doing. This needs to be sent to the call. So you'll need to choose the little arrow B2 here. It says arrow B2. Just click on the icon and it'll select it. This essentially just sends the signal to this channel. And this channel, it says VoiceMeeter aux. This cable, virtual cable, is what's going to be sent out to Discord, and it will pick the sound in. Under voice call audio, choose A1. A1, remember, that was our main speaker that we're using. So you'll probably want to hear the call. So choose A1 there. And then we'll skip down here. It says VoiceMeeter VAIO. This is all of your application audio. You know, this is the stuff that you hear on your computer, whatever's you're playing on YouTube or Netflix, whatever you're playing, you're probably going to want to hear that. So choose A1 to send this, everything on your desktop to your main speaker. Because remember, our default device is now VoiceMeeter Potato. So if we were just sending out to VoiceMeeter Potato, that means that we're capturing this audio in, but we also need to send it back out to the speakers. Alright, so we've sent all the routing together. Now the last thing before we continue on, we need to make sure that this thing is continuous, and every time you reboot, you don't have to reset this up or open it up or whatever. So right at the top right, it says menu. Make sure the box for auto restart audio engine is checked off. You choose system tray, run at startup, make sure that you check that one off, and hook volume keys. This way, when you're adjusting your volume with the volume keys as normal, it will adjust VoiceMeeter and not Windows, because that'll mess things up real weird. So you see when I use my arrow keys, it just changes the volume as if like normal. Alright, so this is all of the patching you need to do in VoiceMeeter Potato. You can experiment with this if you want. This is just kind of the basics, but you'll notice under microphone, we don't want to send it to A1. If I turn up my speakers here, and I send it to A1, here's what's going to happen. Hey, let me talk a little bit, and let me bring up the volume. Oh, there we go. There you go. You start to get some fun stuff called feedback. Definitely don't want that. Yeah. Don't record your own microphone with your speakers and then the speakers send it to the microphone. Eee! That's just a recipe for disaster. But it's a good way to just mess around and maybe learn how this software works in a little bit more detail. One thing I like to do with this software is to name everything. That way it's easier for me to recognize what's going on. You can just right-click any labels here. Not that. There we go. Right-click any of the labels and it will let you just name it. Right. And you can also rename these faders over here. I call this speaker. Just an easy speaker. One more thing I should mention. The driver that my computer uses this Connexin HD audio. So when I plug in headphones, for example, it will automatically switch from speakers to headphones. Now, depending on your audio setup, you may also want to add another output device. So, for example, maybe your computer, it sends it to the speakers, but when you plug in headphones, now it's not working. Well, this is where A2, A3, A4, and A5 come in. So A2, this is where you would add, let's say, your headphones or whatever else you're using. If it doesn't auto switch like this specific driver does on my computer. but mine doesn't, so that's how you would do that though. Alright, so we've set up our VoiceMeeter software, and now we need to set up our video chat, video call, Skype, Discord, whatever you want to call it. We need to set that up now. So anywhere on the software you'll find some sort of input and output device. So your input device is going to be your VoiceMeeter aux output, and then your output device is going to be your that's not it, cable input. Now this looks kind of complicated, but I'm going to break it down. So think about it. When you hear the person on the other end, that sound is coming to cable input. And if we look back here, this is our cable. This is the other end of the cable output. So it's taking that virtual cable, taking it out of Discord, and putting it on its own channel. The reason why we are doing this, rather than just having it like normal, is that when we start using this function, we want to send the desktop audio to the call, they're going to end up hearing themselves. But if you send the audio to its own separate channel, we can exclude it from sending it back to the person. And then our input device, remember, that's our VoiceMeeter aux output, which is the other end of our VoiceMeeter aux input. So this is where we are going to choose if we want the microphone or if we want desktop audio and we want to send it to Discord. So notice I didn't say click B2 under desktop audio. This is if you would use it like normal. If you did this, nothing would happen. It would be exactly like normal, and that would be it. But the power comes when we want to add other things to the Discord call, for example. So we have this VoiceMeeter VAIO. That is simply our whatever's playing on our desktop. So if we want to send that to the other person, then we would use the B2 and it would send it to the VoiceMeeter aux. Discord would pick that up, VoiceMeeter aux, and send all of that together to the call. So that's how you do that. All the patching and all that nonsense. Right? That's an easy way. Just toggle on and off. So let's say you're doing something else and you don't want anybody to hear what you're doing. You can just turn that out right off. No problem. Alright, so in review, what have we done here today? That was pretty complicated. So our microphone, anything we say, is going to be sent to our VoiceMeeter potato software. And this is going to be sent, remember B2, is going to be sent to our call audio. And if we want, we can also have our desktop audio. Remember, that's games, YouTube, Netflix, anything that we have. It will be sent to desktop audio. And we can choose whether or not we also want to send that to the call. So it takes everything that was put into here and sends it to our call. Now remember, if we used it as normal and Discord sent the audio directly to the desktop, well, now they're going to hear themselves if you end up choosing that you want to send it to them. So we need to get it out and exclude it. So that's where we use the cable, remember our virtual cable. We're going to send that out and separately add it to our speakers. Everything else, on the other hand, remember we use A1, and this gets sent over to the main speaker or headphone channel. Remember, if you have a different type of device and you have two separate devices for speakers and headphones, you'll need to make sure you add both and you turn both of the faders up. But like I said, in my computer's case, this is a combo unit where if you plug in headphones, it'll automatically switch, so I don't need to do that. But that's just a review on how this whole system works. And without further ado, that's about it. I know it's a little bit complicated, but with this setup, you can send anything that you want to the other person in your call, Skype or whatever. You can just send it to them, no problem. If you've noticed, if you know anything about sound at all, you might notice that there are some extra options on there like reverb and EQ. Yes, you can do all of that. You can EQ the other person's sound or your microphone and do that all before it even gets to Discord. And that way, you really have all the power in your hands. So, I hope this helped, and I certainly found this very helpful for myself. I will be using this in my live streams in the future. Cameron, I'm watching you. We've been having some trouble sending audio back and forth, but with this setup, it's not a problem. So, thank you all for watching today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And until next time, thanks for watching.